Oh yeah, man, the burn factor, man. How much has it burned? It's barely a year. Look how many. And now
The
even more
PLSX.
now. Even more now. The more the population it is inside the pulse chain, the faster the burning function happens because there's much more market making and much more circulation, much more buying, selling, and everything. Like it's massively the market volume of pulse chain and everything is going to be like massive when it once it reaches its like all-time high, let's say. It's nothing compared to launch, the percentage that was being burned then.
We're hitting volumes close to launch volume right now.
Yep, it's only going to pick up from now.
It's very interesting.
Yes, and Pulsechain is still in its like infancy, Like we're like half a year in, more than a half a year, So the long game is not played out yet. So people really believe RH is gonna buy his own coins and pump their own bags like 14,000x overnight. They're just gonna wake up and be millionaires. Is that what? Because that's what it seems like people think.
Like that can't happen yet on Pulse Chain. Not saying it won't happen. Maybe next cycle you could see those kind of gains on the Richard Hart coins.
Rackham and his Saudi Arabia friends.
Yeah.
Like Richard waited for that stuff to be done, and then he sent it. They could have extracted another 100 million had they waited, but yeah, Richard's watching this stuff.
And the thing is, like, at first, everybody, after the initial shock wears off, it's just like, let's think about it. We saw that particular wallet that, it was like it's like a $25 million wallet just started pumping the shot of Pulsex to get it back up to SAC. I think whatever's going on is that he's seeing where these people are in terms of the largest like sacrifices for Pulse Chain and whatnot, or Pulsex, seeing where their head's at. If he sees that all they're waiting on is that initial SAC rate to get out, he's like, okay, cool, I'll get it up to SAC rate, but I'm not giving you a penny more else. You want to get out now? Do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Rackham had dumped it down to 4055, like probably 5 or 6 hours before Richard pumped Pulsex the other night.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I was watching that.
The thing is, I am quite certain that he has a list of certain wallets that he monitors and he sets up alerts on these wallets. Like, I'm certain that there's some sort of system in place for these individuals who have pretty large holdings, and based on their actions, he's probably deemed, hey, you know what, these people aren't really benevolent. They're going to dump the price as much. They're going to be a negative externality, as he likes to put it, for the foreseeable future. So he's giving them their little opportunities, like, hey, look, you want to break even? Cool, you can do that. You want to, go up 1.3x or whatever. But then again, these wallets, they have their multipliers on them too. So he may be trying to clear off the individuals who have their bonus amounts that they got from the SAC, get it down to a point where it's a lot more manageable for the ecosystem to absorb their activity overall. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree with that.
So he doesn't mind having them in the ecosystem. He just wants to redistribute their bags a little bit more. And if there's an opportunity for them the OA wallets to absorb those bags that they redistribute, then that's a good thing. Because, the OA bags have acted in the best interest of the chain overall. I'd rather have those bags holding the token than individuals who are highly emotional and decided to, remove millions and millions of dollars from the ecosystem because of memes.
If you're a technical guy and you're looking at the chart the right way, you might see this as a huge opportunity. So there's always that flip side of the coin. But if we think that it's not going to rip again and it is dead forever, I mean that's just like ignorant to a level to think that it's not possible.
Crowd of like Gucci and Lambos and type of pictures like that, and the whole like top G crowd. So I think he was just trying to go for that.
He was going for whatever was the rage, or whatever you want to call it, the fad of the moment, like when he did his unboxing videos for a couple of weeks.
Right.
Whatever was getting traction on social media, that's what he was doing, just flipping around.
Yeah, he needs to do that again. Why isn't he going back on camera?
Yeah, that would be fun.
They're the ones he needs to do. They're the ones that drove the price.
You know what the good news is? The good news is, I mean, everyone right now is talking about Hex.
The SEC tries to say that sacrifices are illegal ICOs. That's one of the things they try to come in and do.
Yeah, but if you knowingly sacrifice into a wallet, then it is actually a sacrifice. So the court case is going to break down. I don't think the case is going to be dismissed for a good reason, because it's going to define a lot of back end things towards what is a sacrifice, what is ICO, how do you distribute the funds without it being a security, how do you provide LP without it being a security, and different type of various of questions have to be answered. But since we have since this thing is worldwide, and you have different constitutions for different countries, this is what makes the sacrifice itself not a security, in my opinion. As long as you have something that lets you know this is a sacrifice, do not expect profit from the work of others. If you have these things on that listed somewhere where the user can actually read and see it, then you probably have more protection than what the SEC would probably bring to light.
When you're taking $50 million, there's certain expectations that, you better have the best of the best. You know what I mean?
As of yet. And I don't even know if Richard Hart owns that wallet.
Oh, okay. So you're just going to classify him as the imaginary 90% holder, huh? With his 200,000 mystery wallets that we have no clue which wallets, how Pulsechain will ever be DeFi. And I also think Richard Hart will abandon ship in the next 5 years and go create another.
Have you ever heard of the Ethereum Foundation?
No, Iceman, I have not.
You should look into the Ethereum Foundation. They're dumping ETH on your heads every time there's a new all-time high.
Yeah, and Richard Hart, the hater of Ethereum, happens to be buying $600 million worth.
Exactly.
Yep, case proven.
What does that prove? That doesn't prove anything. What does that prove?
BTC Gold. I mean, what's your point and what you're trying to say? I'm kind of confused. My only question is when Bitcoin came up, who had 100% of Bitcoin? Or who was the first person that had a majority of Bitcoin? Or who still has a majority of Bitcoin today?
I don't know who owns.
So do you know who Satoshi is?
Yeah,
Okay.
we all know, right?
Okay. Who owns
It's
majority of
it's Craig Wright, right?
who owns majority of Binance?
Well, that's a centralized exchange, right?
No, it's both decentralized and centralized exchange. It's both. So who owns majority of Binance? Probably CZ. Who owns majority of Ethereum?
CZ too.
Richard Hart.
So what I'm trying to explain to you is that you can define centralization in two ways. Pulsechain as a protocol, and that's why I keep telling people, quit mixing up the token and the technology. Pulsechain is pure DeFi. It's the most decentralized blockchain out there because it does not have core validators that just like, okay, they own so much coin or they do so much, like unlike Ethereum. You understand? So I don't understand what you're trying to say about Richard Hart, and I don't know why most of you have that sour tone about him. It tells me that you don't know what he's doing. You don't know much about him, and probably you have to really educate yourself more about what you're talking about because you are just saying the same narrative, the same talking points. It's not about, oh, Bitcoin is better, Ethereum is better, Solana is better. Everything can exist. You understand?
Yeah,
We can all exist together. So this is a
I agree.
very long. Let me finish. This is a very old narrative that you guys need to get out of and let people do what they want to do. So if people want to invest in Pulsechain, let them invest in Pulsechain. If people want to buy Bitcoin, let them buy Bitcoin. If people want to buy Solana, let them buy Solana. If you don't have a history of him scamming anybody or him dumping on people, because the people you're talking about right now, what's his name, Vitalik, he already dumped on freaking Ethereum. Did Ethereum go down or did it destroy the protocol? No, but he hasn't done anything like that. So I'm not saying he's a saint, he's perfect at anything, But if you want to look at his track record, he's a good person. It makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, Vitalik and Richard Hart are two different animals.
Why did you say that? Obviously they are, but why did you say that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, back to the original topic. The technology is DeFi, yes, but
Okay.
when you've got one guy owning 90%, that is not DeFi in my eyes.
What makes it not differ?
Of maybe the creator not owning 90% of it.
So if you buy right now, where's it coming out from? So why don't you go buy 30% out of his 90%?
No,
Do you understand what I'm saying? So
It's
it's
not
going
for
to come out.
sale.
No, I'm just saying. I mean,
Oh, it's not on
if
the
it's on
market.
no, if he's providing liquidity, because I own token. If you're providing liquidity, that liquidity you're providing is for sale. So obviously, if you want to own 30% of Pulsechain right now, all you gotta do is pay that 30%. So why don't you do it so it makes it more decentralized?
yeah, a valid point. I agree on that. But this HOA thing is for the birds.
I'm not talking about HOA. I'm talking about Pulsechain, Richard Hart. Because we are saying all this. What has he really done wrong? Because I launched a coin. If I had known, I would have kept up to maybe 70% of those coins for myself. Because you know why? Because people that owns most of the whales that owns my coins right now, they could be malicious. They could do anything that could harm the coin. You understand? I'll prefer to have that control because it is my coin. It is, I mean, it makes it better because I know I'm not going to dump on their head. I'm trying to make the world a better place. I'm trying to help people. You understand? So I don't know why Richard had to be a case study for, oh, it's not decentralized. Binance is not decentralized. Solana is not decentralized. In that case, Bitcoin is not decentralized because the top 200 wallets owns the majority of Bitcoin.
Well, I'd rather have 200 wallets than one guy owning 90%.
And
No,
the mining, the Bitcoin mining is very
the
centralized.
Bitcoin miners too. But you have to understand that what if those 200 wallets were owned by only 5 people?
And also, it's not the miners' issue. The most important thing that Bitcoin has is the nodes.
So what's the most important thing Ethereum
Well, yeah,
has?
but who's running the nodes, right?
The most important thing Ethereum has? What's the most important thing Visa has? What's the most important thing MasterCard has? You know all of them freaking walk through nodes? And do you know what a node is? I'm just asking because we're just throwing all these ways out there. What's your problem if he owns 100% of the token? He should. He created that stuff. So with time, things become more decentralized. You understand what I'm saying? With time, things become more decentralized. The more you get adoption, the more decentralized it is. Then that's why Satoshi today don't have 100% or 90% or 50% or 60% of Bitcoin. But there was a time he had those. Like you had to mine from him. You understand? Postchain is just a year old. So my only advice, if you're a Bitcoin maxi and a
Oh,
Bitcoin guy,
oh,
is do.
dude, I've given Pulse Chain props. I think Pulse Chain has done very well in its first year.
Yeah, yeah, it's
On
done. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think Richard Hart the past few weeks has gone nutty and
How?
is influencing eHex. That part I
No, he did
do
not.
not like. And then
No, he
he's
did
and
not.
then he's throwing Ethereum under the bus,
No, he did not.
and yet he's buying Ethereum.
No, he did not. He just made it. Okay, let me explain to you. If you tell me he made a statement that caused EHEX to fall down, yes, I'll say okay, yeah, you're right. You understand? But he made an accurate statement. For example, why did he build Postchain? He built Postchain for a reason to migrate from Ethereum into Postchain. And that's why, listen to me, and we're talking about greed right now. He gave the people, anybody that's saying anything right now, he gave the people the same goddamn copies of what they had in Ethereum in Pulse Chain. So you must be freaking greedy if you want to eat your cake or have your cake and eat it. And that's why it's the problem they have. He said, oh, let's move. It's like me telling my family, are we going to buy a new house? And we're going to move to that new house. You understand? And you want us to go back to that old house that is costing me a lot of mortgage to pay. And I'm telling you, no, bro, I'm done with that house. This new house, is new, is beautiful. It's clean, it has clean appliances, and guess what? The mortgage is less to nothing. Then you want to drag me back to that old house? I'm saying no. I have a better house now, and that's all he said. He didn't tell anybody to sell. You might okay. You're talking about he owns majority of the token. He fought himself if that's the case. So maybe the statement he made caused the fraud, and him being who he is, he rarely goes back to retract his statement or say, "Oh, I'm sorry." Maybe he's probably you can tell me he's egoistic, and I don't think people like that. Like me, I have some of that too. We barely go back and say, "Man." Sometimes we think even telling people I'm sorry is part of weakness. You understand? Maybe he made maybe he realized that, oh, you know what, I shouldn't have made this statement. But guess what? It's dumb. I didn't tell them to go sell. People went to go sell. But I'm not going over there to go provide liquidity because I'm not stupid. I have a new stuff that I have to deal with. He said the truth. So you can't really dictate market. Market was the one that detected that, not him. Does that make sense?
Uh, yeah, and no. I mean, I think we'll probably end up disagreeing, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think Richard would. I mean, I like the old Richard. I used to watch his old OG videos. The guy knows his shit now, but what he's doing for about copy on Pulse, and then he ended up crashing the eHex price,
He did not. He did not crash. People, it was people
and
like me. It's people like you and me that sold out of that. You understand? It's a people. It's a market that crashed it. So if you still believe in eHex,
and his
because every
friends were involved in eHex, and they were warned beforehand, and yeah, the whole thing just
who
Where
wait
are you
yeah
get?
what friends, my brother?
Yeah.
You're repeating someone else's narrative. Yeah,
What
that's just not
friends
true.
are what friends are you talking about?
well, there's a well respected Pulsechain Hexakin that I enjoy listening to, and Iceman and Hexy know him, called Execute, and apparently
Execute.
the big
Execute is new.
holders were warned.
Execute is like freaking new.
No, Execute's been in
For
Hex
how
since
long?
day one.
Yeah, he's been in longer than you and I.
Oh, I don't fucking know him then, because I thought Execute, because I go back and forth with him, and from what he says, I know
but
he's
he's a serial troller. Sometimes, a lot
yeah,
of times, his facts are not straight.
yeah,
Uh, Even with Zen, he says shit wrong on Zen too. So he's
yeah.
just a serial
He doesn't
troll. I
have
would
the
never
ability.
repeat anything. Yeah, don't ever. It's not a good practice to repeat things without verifying it for yourself.
Yeah.
I've learned that. So, yeah, I'm just saying that to BTC Gold. So if you can go on chain and see that, that's one thing. But just don't take someone's word for it because people make up narratives to prove like their opinions, and even though it's just made up narratives.
He's trying to protect his bag. Maybe he has a lot of e-hex, but guess what? I think he had a copy he has a copy in Pulsechain too. So he shouldn't be too greedy. These people are just greedy, bro.
Yeah, I haven't heard that BTC Gold. I think he was trolling, obviously.
So there weren't any. I didn't see any big sales. No, not before the tweet, but there was people that removed liquidity before the tweet. I don't know if that was coincidence, but those people still didn't sell. Like they bridged into Pulse Chain or EHEX. So yeah, unless I'm just not seeing something that he was seeing, I could never repeat that narrative.